to the Giggles Live Radio Network.
You're listening to Portin' Stuff on the Giggles Live Radio Network. You're listening to Portin' Stuff on the Giggles Live Radio Network. I am Big Tom McLean. Sitting across from me is my buddy, Steven Gama. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. And sitting across from me, Tommy.
The other Tom McLean, that's right.
Yep.
The not much longer miniature version of me.
Yeah,
he's almost my height now.
I see that.
Not sure how I feel about that.
I think he's grown about a quarter or a half inch in the last 2 months.
Yeah, he has. He really has.
Yeah, I could tell.
I have always been the tallest person in my family my entire life. Do you realize how stinky that's going to be to lose that title at 50 years old?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's so unfair. I love being the biggest dude in the family. Nobody messes with you. Everybody calls you and they're like, hey, I need you to talk to so-and-so. Okay, I'll talk to him.
You have some big shoulders to fill.
We have an exciting episode today because we're talking about a ship that we think it's one of the most underrated ships historically, and that's the SS Olympic.
RMS Olympic.
RMS Olympic,
Yeah.
which was the sister ship to the Titanic.
Yeah, sister ship to the Titanic and Britannic, which we just talked about last episode.
That's right, and the Britannic. So,
But why would it be considered the most underrated?
well, the problem is it's famous for the wrong reasons. I'll let Tommy explain why it's famous for the wrong reasons.
Because they have,
It's conspiracy theorists.
yeah, obviously everything has a conspiracy theory now. And, anyways, they had this theory that the Titanic was actually the Olympic. It was the Olympic that sunk, and they switched the names out for some weird reason. And Titanic was the one that went over there, and and that's why the Olympic got fame, is because they thought that they just switched out because she sunk instead of the Titanic.
So the Olympics suffered a fire, right? Wasn't it a boiler?
No,
a boiler? What
no,
was it?
the Titanic did.
Which one?
Boiler fire.
No, which one was the one? But what was it that happened to the Olympic where there was some kind of a damage on the bow, and that's one of the reasons they started the conspiracy theories, because they're like, oh, we found that damage on the Titanic, or the Titanic had some damage that they said was damage that was on the Olympic.
I don't remember hearing that part.
Oh, you don't? Well, that's one of the reasons they said it. They trashed the Olympic because it was not really seaworthy. But anyways, it's all obviously.
Yeah, they think, why would they change the names out? That's ridiculous. They did not think that the Titanic would sink.
Yeah.
Why would they do that? It's just trying to confuse people.
Yeah, the whole conspiracy theory goes far. They say that's why the California was sitting close by with their lights off and not responding.
Right.
It's a big. They've got it all. It's the fake moon landing people. They've got it all figured out for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you look back 50, 60 years, it's funny because when you witness an accident and then you walk away and then you try to tell somebody about it the next day, changes a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
And then the person that you told tells somebody. So I imagine like all these legends and stories, and now here you are trying to figure things out and learn something about it. And
I remember one lady that was talking about seeing the California in the distance or something like that, and Tommy's like, "Dad, she wasn't even old enough to remember," or something like that. Do you remember
Yeah.
that? It was like 10 months.
No, that was
You're
her
like, she was only 10 months old.
No, that was her saying. That was the girl that said that the Titanic split in half.
Oh,
Remember?
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they said that it might have split in half lower to the ground. which would probably explain if it's split in half with enough force that would send the stern flying into the ground. And
because it's
damaging
Titanic. If you
it.
look at the debris field, it looked like it twisted, like the smaller portion
Right.
broke off and twisted and fell down or whatever. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was still together, because it was breaking apart, but it's still like held together,
Yeah.
if not by wires.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, because
And none of the accounts ever said that it broke in half, other than the one people who were like 5 or 7 years old, which think how well
They're all kids.
How well do you remember being a 7-year-old?
yeah,
I don't remember. I barely remember any of it.
So that's the wrong reason the Olympic is remembered.
Yeah,
And so
yeah. She's just such a great ship.
what makes her great?
Well, she started life in 1911. The Mauritania, I believe, was the biggest ship in the world at the time. I'm not 100% sure if it's Mauritania, but I'm pretty sure that's it. But anyways, so they decided, you know what, we gotta go bigger. We gotta make a bigger ship, than Cunard, which was their rivals. Same ones that made Queen Mary.
the Cunard lines, yeah.
Yeah, they're the same ones that owned.
And this
Queen
is the
Mary.
White Star Lines that was making.
This is White Star Lines, yeah. So they decided, you know what, let's make this ship. Then they came up with the Olympic. The Olympic she had 3 propellers. She was like a really nice ship, apparently. People actually called her Old Reliable.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Wasn't she in like a really bad accident, which led people to think that,
Yeah,
to
but-
believe even more
yeah,
that those ships were unsinkable or something?
yeah, we're getting to that.
Oh, sorry. I jumped ahead.
Well, so yeah, she took her maiden voyage, I'm guessing in 1911. I mean, why would they wait a year?
Oh yeah,
Permits. Permitting process was probably different back then. Probably didn't fill anything out.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that debunks that first little rumor, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
That
the
was
But you-
very, very slyly placed.
Yeah,
there.
until you were talking about the Olympic. The Olympic, it was the HMS Hawk, I believe.
oh yeah.
And they were escorting the. I think that I heard that they're like just pretend racing or something, like it's just a little friendly game.
The Hawk was escorting the Olympic,
Was it escorting?
or was it just playing out in the waters?
I don't know. I think they're just together because then it would have been in front. But anyways, the Olympic made a turn to starboard, which surprised the Hawk. They tried to turn away, but the steering didn't work, and there's such a big displacement by the Olympic that they crashed into her, destroyed. It looked like it obliterated the prow of the Hawk, and then
That thing looked all smashed up.
yeah, and then the Olympic had a giant hole in the stern. There was a hole in the stern. There was one that was above water and one below water. The one below water filled up 2 of her compartments, watertight compartments, but she didn't sink.
And that's the one above is the one that they supposedly see on the Titanic when they're doing the conspiracy theory. But anyways, go. Now that I'm starting to connect the dots, now that he's going into it,
Hey,
helps to have a son that's a lot smarter than you. He helps you get there eventually.
Eventually.
even though remember the stern was almost completely destroyed when the Titanic sank. So just think about that. Like, yeah, that definitely makes sense. You could definitely see a hole when there's probably a million of them.
Right.
Right, you can definitely tell that was repaired, and
Oh yeah, you're right. Like
yeah, and there was footage that said the Titanic had letter plates over the original nameplate, and when they opened, I remember when it said MP when 2 letters fell off, and the theory holds some ground only because both of the words have 7 letters in them. That's the only reason why it holds ground.
Oh, interesting. I didn't think about that.
Titanic
That's
Olympic.
But once again, why would they ever do that, and how would they be able to disguise that? They look like the weirdest T I've ever seen. Right, if
Yep.
they are trying to put a Y over a T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be a weird one.
So so then the what happened after the accident with the hawk?
Afterwards, people started thinking, "Wow, the Titanic really is unsinkable," which is why, even though it's like almost an exact replica, you cannot say, "Oh, it's an exact replica," and this one's for sure unsinkable, because that's not the truth.
Now the Olympic was out before the Titanic, right?
Yeah.
I've always found that fascinating. Titanic had a sister ship that was of similar size and everything.
The Titanic was a little bit bigger.
Okay, so that's why it was such a big deal.
She was a record breaker, but she's only like 6 inches bigger.
That's hilarious.
It matters.
It does.
6 inches bigger.
6 inches can mean all the world.
Yeah, well, that's what's going on with Dubai and all these buildings right now, isn't it? Like,
Oh yeah.
the tallest
yeah.
building in the world is like 6 inches taller.
I like
Yeah.
the people who are getting creative and building down. That's cool.
Yeah.
To me, that's cool.
That's
Going
Yeah.
down
Speaking of-
low.
Yeah, what's interesting about Dubai is that now they have the Queen Elizabeth II. I one time heard that she saved Cunard from going out of business, because when they sold the Queen Elizabeth and Queen Mary, they didn't really have any other ships. So the Queen Elizabeth II kind of did that.
Is Cunard and Cunard White Star, which they ended up merging?
Yeah.
Are they still together? Are they still a company? Are they still around?
Nope.
Okay.
They bought off the White Star line as soon as they could.
And the Eastern Steamship Line, that's been gone for a while now too, I
They
believe.
have.
Yeah, I believe so.
I thought you were going to say they became Carnival Cruise Line.
No, when actually when I was looking at the thing, I was doing the thing where we were talking about for that other place. Yeah, it was 1955. Eastern Steamship Lines went out of business. So 1901 to 1955.
55. The Yarmouth Castle fire happened in 65. That's false.
Oh,
There
interesting.
you go.
It must have been under a different name or something. We'll have to
So-
look into it.
Going back to our Bahama Star, the Bahama Star was maiden voyage was what year?
Probably 1931. That's when she was finished.
Yeah, the boring
Yeah.
one.
31.
And we're still not done with the Olympic story. So then, as a replacement to the Titanic, they built the. All right, thanks for that.
Go ahead. I'm just messing with you.
All right, you made me forget what I was gonna say.
You were talking about the Olympic,
The,
and you were talking
yeah,
about the Olympic and
the
the
Titanic was to replace the Titanic. They made another sister ship, the Britannic. These are all Olympic class ships: Titanic, Olympic, and Britannic. Once again, White Star Line, and the Britannic sunk. Obviously, as you heard from our previous episode, the Britannic sunk when hitting an undersea mine,
Right.
and the she
So-
was left without sisters.
So how long was the Olympic in service after that?
I don't know how much longer after that. I know that she was like a good 30 years at least, because she was from 1911 to 1936.
Oh, so
Yeah.
so she was taken apart in 36.
Like a good 25 years.
Oh wow, interesting.
I think she had more time left, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well, wasn't there an
It's just-
attempt to make it into a hotel?
yeah, but it probably wasn't that strong, because if they really wanted to, they could have easily said that that's a replica of the Titanic. And everyone would be like, "Yep, we're keeping this."
Yeah, that's another hole in that little story, right?
Yeah, and then there's the I'm trying to remember. When
I wonder how many ships are on the water today.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, I
The-
can imagine.
the World War I started in 1914, and during that time, the Olympic became a troop transport, HMT Olympic.
HMT.
I'm thinking it's His Majesty's Transit.
Yep, I
But,
believe that is.
yeah, I'm not sure, but I think that's what it is. Anyways, during that time, I think this is pretty awesome. There was a German U-boat out there about to sink her, had its guns all pointed out. And the Olympic just charged at that ship and broke it in half. Just slammed onto it. And guess what? They had to scuttle it because it was just so damaged, and they had to go back. And yeah.
Learned
Yes.
another good word today, scuttle. So that's where scuttle comes from.
Yeah, scuttling is when you sink a ship on purpose, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So just to retell the story. So the German U-boat had all guns pointed at and ready to take out the Olympic, and the Olympic, being an ungunned, just a transport ship, decides, well, we've got this sharp front. Let's just drive right through it. So that's what it did, right?
Yeah.
And scuttled it.
That's such a crazy story. No wonder you're a fan of the Olympic.
Yeah.
So that means technically the La Janelle scuttled, right?
Yeah.
Scuttled? No, they didn't purposely sink her.
Well, they did.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
She capsized in a storm.
But you're right. And then they purposely,
Turned into a
Repurposed her.
yeah, purposely, because we got to find some photos of it when it was late. I remember my dad took me to Silver Strand Beach to look at it. And this is crazy because now you guys are going there, father, son. But it was a big deal because all of a sudden there's this La Janelle laying on its side at Silver Strand Beach. And, everyone's coming to see it. And so they did scuttle it in a sense because they were talking about moving it off of there. But then they just destroyed it right where it laid.
So is that where it's at? Is its original positioning?
Yes.
Oh, and then they just added the rocks to make it a jetty, and
Yeah. And I don't know what they did because it was a big ship, right?
yeah, it was huge.
There's not a lot visible to the naked eye when you go out there, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a shell. It's definitely more of the skeleton of the ship. You could tell that they probably took off all of the
The valuables.
Yeah.
Well, I think the valuables were taken off when it was left for derelict a long time ago. When it
But
first
I
went
also think that they kind of imploded it because it's a pretty big ship.
I heard is that some people decided to vandalize our La Janelle and set her on fire.
Oh yeah, there was a fire or
Yeah.
something like that too.
And
Yeah,
so
I think I
they couldn't
remember
save
that.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some. We've seen some pictures. There's some, especially like AP Newswire photos that are out there where she's laying on her side, and it's kind of an amazing sight, really.
We should do a deep dive and try to locate more photos because it laid there on its side for a couple of years.
Yeah, it did.
People would be surfing off the bow of it.
Oh yeah, people were diving off of it.
Yeah.
People were going through and exploring in the insides of it, and
Which has to be talk about a haunted house, right?
It's gotta be amazing because you're seeing this ship, and if you learn the history, you're gonna be wow.
Yeah.
It just went
that's the
on
crazy
this ship,
part. Is you wonder. I bet there's not a lot of
Yeah.
people that knew the history of that ship.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, they just knew that. Oh yeah, the La Janelle crashed. No,
Yeah.
it didn't really crash. It kind of
It kind of
came to rest.
There were
Yeah,
4 crew members on when it did start to list, and they were rescued
They were
Yeah.
all
during the
four-
storm.
Oh.
Good.
I think they were just
Yeah.
maintenance and security types.
Yeah.
Yeah.
being pulled by a tugboat across the ocean.
Yeah, you know what? Were they? I think they might have been helicoptered out. I'd have to double check that.
Probably helicoptered. As much as I love La Janelle, we should get back to the Olympic.
Oh yeah,
Yes. What about the Olympic?
yeah. Let's get to
What's great is that during the war, she also saved crew members from the sunken HMS Audacious.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Audacious sunk, and the Olympic, I guess she probably just happened to be in the area, so then they went over there and saved the crew members.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's got so many parallels to the La Janelle.
Yeah.
I know. We're always talking about ships that
Yeah.
sink and help other people or other ships.
And what the last major incident with the Olympic was that she collided with another ship, splitting it in half and sinking it. The Nantucket light ship.
Where was this at?
This was, I believe, somewhere in England.
Really? So it took a
Someone
U-boat
went in.
out.
Yeah, well, yeah, it took out a U-boat, took out a light ship, took out a well,
Was it
got-
clumsy or was she just like always crashing
she's
into
not-
other ships?
she's she's not clumsy. I mean, she purposefully rammed some. Others, they just happen to have their steering out. And
You
then
wonder if she's
others.
you wonder if she's like one of the trains, because trains are big and you misjudge how fast they're going because
Yeah.
of how big they are.
Yeah, well,
they get to you very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Queen Mary actually collided with a ship, the HMS Curacoa, splitting in half and killing most of the crew members on board. Actually, no, maybe all of them.
Ooh.
Wow.
And so I think the same thing happened with the Olympic. Only this was just a light ship. I think this ship was an American ship, but obviously America and Britain are obviously allied countries now.
So what ultimately ended up happening with the Olympic at the very end?
Unfortunately, she ended up getting scrapped.
And is it because of any of the accidents, or was it just
I don't
she
think
just became no
I don't
longer
think-
viable?
I don't think so. They just said that she was too old and stuff.
It's kind of crazy how they roll out these ships knowing that they're only going to have some of them a 30-year
25, 30
shift
years,
life. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Well, it's crazy too over here at the port of Wainimi when you like again back to the banana boat. Okay, what's the history on this boat? Like,
Yeah.
what was it? Was it always for bananas? And was it a did it go through some changes through its life? And I believe it did because they used to do what they call bulk shipping, where they would pull out the big stack of banana boxes on a pallet and then put it on the dock, and then a forklift would come and take it. And so they'd fill up the inside of the ship with all the bananas. As you know, the port of Wainimi is 45 feet deep. So that means you're going to have anywhere from 20 to 35 feet of the ship underwater. So that's a lot of bananas, right?
Yeah.
So when they changed, now they have containers. So all the bananas are in containers. So they all stack. You've seen this.
Yeah.
They all
Oh,
stack.
yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
so I imagine that they had to do some kind of retrofit, like, which kind of sounds like what all these ships that we're talking about went through dramatic changes throughout their lifespan.
Right.
From a hospital ship to a cruise liner.
Yeah.
Well, we know La Janelle's biggest change went after the war, because that's when they say that she was I forget what the word was, but
Retrofitted.
like retrofitted to become a what do you call it, a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said that it went from being a personnel ship, a hospital, to that. And we actually found out that the first burial at sea came on the La Janelle, right? Remember that?
It said USS Bornquin, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the only ship that there wasn't two Bornquins in the United States Navy. But yeah, there was one of the first burials at sea during the war. It was somebody who had passed away
Yeah.
on the. Yeah, obviously we've got more information to find out about that, but it's just it's so crazy how much stuff, and especially like going, and that's just our La Janelle. We just every week there's more stuff.
Yeah.
I've got another cool surprise about La Janelle. You guys will find out about another day, but
Yeah.
we don't have time for that today.
Yeah, well, I think we should go on a mission and try and find photographs, but photographs don't do well on
We've been
podcasts.
doing that. We've been.
I know, you
photographs-
felt like
Yeah.
great photos.
We've got a lot of photographs of the various stages of when it was on its side, and there's some. You even see some where there's a bunch of people around it, like it's just this weird
Oddity.
attraction. You're right. Yeah, like an oddity. Like, oh man, how often do you get to do this? Well, I mean, that's kind of what it's like now. We go visit. How often? I mean, who do you know that gets to go climb around on a sunken ship? That's pretty cool.
But I was just thinking like airlines, there's big planes everywhere, but an airline plane or 747, it doesn't have the mystique. You know what I mean? Like
No.
each one of these ships has like this mystique, all this great information about its historical thing, and it's a floating vessel that goes around and does wonderful things. But an airplane just flies from,
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
cares about an airplane. Like,
Yeah.
no one's going to remember. You remember that?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
747 name.
Yeah, you ask about a boat's history, like, oh yeah, this one saved it from a fire. Then a plane, you just ask it, and they're like, yeah, it flew.
Yeah, it flew from A to B.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Well, the sea has always had that mystique to it,
It is, and the sea is so vast and so there's so many uncharted areas of the sea. There's so much we don't know.
Yeah.
That's why it's important that we keep it clean, so we're not killing all these things that we aren't even aware of yet.
Keep it clean, man.
Yeah.
Don't put any trash in the beach.
Yeah, I have a feeling we've already made some animals go extinct that we didn't even know about with all our plastic and stuff. So let's not let there be any more, guys. Let's pick up trash, and better yet, to prevent it by not throwing your trash on the ground.
Yeah, then there's a special place for trash.
I wish I could remember who the guy was, but my favorite meme of I'm not a meme person ever, but my favorite meme of the month, somebody put, why can't we teach AI to clean the plastic out of the ocean instead of writing screenplays?
That's a good one, yeah.
Because you got all this strike going on in Hollywood, but
yeah,
why aren't we using technology to do something a little more useful like that?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Supposedly we have technology to where we can, not have to ever charge our phones. Why don't we head that direction? That kind of stuff. Let's, but instead we do all this goofy.
How crazy would it be to be able to come back 200 years from now? Can you even imagine what it's going to be like?
We could use this to clean up. We could use this to clean up the ocean, but no, we're using it to make an AI version of Mr. Krabs singing "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" by Shania Twain.
Who did that? What?
He's discovered the magic of AI on YouTube. They're basically having SpongeBob characters singing any song you could ever imagine.
Yeah, not just,
and it's
really
because it's AI and generated. It sounds just like the real voice.
And
it kind of stinks for the voice actors.
Yeah.
No, it's a big.
Yeah, they play it. I don't really listen to. I mean, I listen to it when they have it on, but
but it's hard to understand. Like, and the kids understand it better. Like, because I'm like, what are you talking about? What?
Yeah.
But again, it's gonna be crazy because it's all about the mighty dollar and like, well, wait a minute, why do we want to pay it? Like we always think robots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Robots don't call in sick.
Nope.
Robots don't need health insurance. They do need preventative maintenance. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't have.
But you can teach them to do that themselves.
Yeah. Eventually,
you can teach them to be, or you could also just give them all the tools and say, figure it out yourself.
The scary part is they're taking away individuality a little bit with the AI stuff, where it's like, you know what? Instead of a model, I'm going to create this woman that's based on all these factors on who says what the perfect woman looks like. And here you go. She's going to sell you a Pepsi. Meanwhile, that puts one person out of work, supposedly, but that's not just one person. There's a chain with that. That one person has to go for a gig that's a little bit lower. And by the way, those gigs are gone too now.
But there's really cool aspects to it. And then there's like the Soylent Green type reality check. Like, terrifying.
Yeah. But what if they had like these awful like let's say they get an audible of like terroristic threats or something, and they can make it into your voice.
No, what if
That's
they
terrifying?
Take your voice and punk your mom with some crazy story, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's really scary is like, oh, where are you at, Mom? Oh, well, I'm over here. You're gonna have to go get a gift card.
Yeah.
Load it with that.
Well, we've seen it happen with email and Facebook, that exact same thing you're talking about.
Yeah, but that scam has kind of run its course. But again, what's going to be the next scam? It is scary. It's extremely scary.
It's like people that scam people instead of making their kids say, "Oh, I went to jail. Please help me.
Yeah,
I need bail."
But remember the Terminator. Remember, he could imitate the mother's voice. Mm-hmm. That was AI, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Right? And
That's true.
Yeah, and so there's a real danger there. It could be used, and people are, people free will, right?
Mm-hmm.
People have negative free will where they're always looking to
get ahead and get over on people.
So this guy, called me and said, "Hey, we're gonna cut your power off. You need to do this and that." And I knew it was a scam, so I started playing along with him. Oh, really? Okay, what do you want me to do? You got to go down there and buy these gift cards. Okay, how many? What? Do what? Okay, yeah. So I said, okay, I'll call you back with them. Don't worry, just hang. So I waited some time. I call him back. I said, okay, are you ready? And then I started like reading off a fake number and blah, blah, and I finally told him like, what do you think, I'm stupid? And he's all, and then he's like, he started boasting like, oh, you know, I had you. I almost had you. I'm like, yeah, but what do you do when you go home and look at yourself in the mirror in front of your kid?
Right.
Are you proud of what you're doing?
Yeah, you
And
know,
he's like,
they should have a number to where you can lead scammers to call and they arrest them, they bust them.
yeah, it would be like a reverse. Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be awesome. But the guy laughed at me and he goes, yeah, well, there's plenty of suckers out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
And he's right. You know, my mom almost got scammed, and so she learned, and she was at a store, and there was a lady buying gift cards. My mom's all, excuse me, I don't want to be nosy, but did somebody call you and say your grandson was in jail? And the lady's all, yes, but I'm not supposed to talk to anybody.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then my mom was able to get the manager, I think it was at Ralph's.
Oh, nice.
And they're able to talk this lady off the ledge because, you know, she was trying to get her grandson out of jail.
Yeah.
You know, and it's scary,
That's
though.
what they did on The Simpsons. They made it sound like Bart was in trouble.
He was like,
So,
what?
yeah,
The Simpsons predicted it again.
I know.
yeah,
dude.
they predict the future.
So Bart did that. Bart got in trouble.
They got an AI voice of Bart saying that, yeah,
Wow.
Well, the one thing AI can't do is they can't take a bucket and a grabber and go clean up a beach. So we're gonna have to keep doing that until further notice.
And AI can't make a ship and have this history and make it float around the world. I mean, maybe it can, but it would need a lot of help.
yeah.
I don't know. Can they program the ships to where they just run themselves through the sea? There's got to be some kind of a human.
That's coming, man.
I'm sure they're gonna try, right?
Yeah, the ships that come for us and our product is it's a tough. Being on a tanker ship would be my last choice.
Really?
Yeah, because there's really nowhere to hide because it's full of liquid, right? And so there's all these pipes and valves, and you know it's really difficult walking around. Even I have a difficult, walk, and you have to be really careful because you trip or fall. But then,
Even when it's anchored.
yeah, it's a dangerous piece of metal. It really is.
Wow. Huh.
It is. But then you look at a cruise ship and it's like, okay, let's go play basketball. Let's go swimming.
Yeah.
Let's go to the buffet. Let's go to a movie.
Let's go do the rowing machine.
Yeah, I mean, there's all these fantastic things to do, and even on the car ships, I understand that they have because there's several floors that you could actually jog on a car ship.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
But you can't do it on a tanker.
So, what kind of jobs are there on a ship, like say a car ship or a tanker? So you probably have to have a couple of security, I'm assuming.
Security. There's a captain. There's a first mate. There's a chief engineer. There's engine room mechanics. There's a couple of more engineers, and there's probably a piping specialist. A lot of engineering, a lot of math on a tanker.
So a ship comes in has probably how many people on a crew?
About 14, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's about what I would have guessed.
Yeah, but when you look at a bigger ship like a car ship, I mean, I think the crew is way bigger than 14. I mean, just the volume, I mean, they say those ships hold 5,000 cars.
Wow. And do they just drive them all off?
Depends. It's sometimes you'll see a line of Rolls Royces coming down Wainimi Road.
Wow.
Yeah.
So cool.
It's like 20, 25 of them. Maseratis.
That's so crazy.
Crazy cars. Those are expensive cars.
Yeah.
Those cars are like
Oh, yeah, Maseratis and all those.
We got to keep an eye on the ship schedule. We haven't seen a ship come in a little while.
It's been
a few
kind of
weeks.
slow. It's been slow.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the last few times we went, really haven't seen a lot of action. There was a really big one that was there in port the whole time. One day when we went. But.
Yeah. We also saw, I believe it had a submarine on it, an Ocean Explorer vessel.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there was like an explorer vessel that came.
Yeah, there's also a vessel that comes in that lays cable, I think, fiber optic cable.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting. The other day, a truck they borrow the scale at my work, and a big old truck came in with this big old spool on it. And of course, I want to know what is that? And he's like, oh, this is going to be a for a ski lift in Utah. I'm like,
Wow.
and it weighed like, God, I think it was a special load, so he was able to go over the 80,000 pounds. But yeah, he was like 96,000 pounds or something.
Imagine all that goes into putting together a ski lift. Something like that. You got to get
a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like you could just go, hey, I need some cable that can carry a few hundred people a day.
Yeah,
you know,
that's crazy.
That's pretty wild.
But yeah, it all comes back to the ship. You got to float it in.
Yeah.
Got to get it to where it's going.
Yeah, you do. All right, so we're going to talk about a couple of events because we are running low on time. We have the big Wainimi. What's the big day that we have? Wainimi Days? Is that what it's called?
Wainimi Beach Festival.
Wow, I was so far off.
August
Making stuff
26th
up.
and 27th. Yeah, it's a 2-day free event. Parking's $10.
If Wainimi Days becomes a thing, I just want to be the MC. That's all.
It used to be Harbor Days.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So the port has their banana festival, and we have the Wainimi Beach Festival. So our festival is more about food, music, and games.
Nice.
Some rides and games, and usually the weather's really nice, and we want to have a youth-heavy involvement, and we have a lot of volunteering groups like the Sea Cadets, the Police Explorers.
Yeah.
But we really do want to, again, in this community, me and others believe it's really important to instill the type of values that you're displaying on the hockey.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say court, but
hockey
field.
rink.
It's not a
It's
field.
the ice.
Hockey rink.
Rink.
Yeah.
Is it a rink? I'm a non-hockey
You
guy.
just say it on the ice.
I've never even
On the
ice
ice.
skated, so
It's not easy. Ice skating is really hard. Really, really hard.
do you concur?
Um,
No, you're pretty good
when
at it.
when I first went ice skating, I just hopped on and started pushing with my legs.
But he had been rollerblading too for a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of
A little bit of experience before that.
Well, it looks crazy to me because I've never done it, and I'm always amazed at how well people could zip around on ice skates.
I ice skated as a teen and then did it a little bit with them as an adult, and I was like, going, too many bad things can happen. Because yeah, it's fun, and yeah, chances are I'll be fine. But if I fall and
I can't afford to fall anymore.
yeah, that's my point. If I break an elbow or a knee,
Yeah.
all of a sudden the few ways I have of making money are gone. You know what I mean?
A
Like,
friend of mine the other night got on one of those one-wheel skateboard. I don't even know what they're called. I'm
the
Oh
hoverboard.
yeah,
I'm like-
I remember seeing those.
I'm like, get off of that thing. Don't even try it. And so
I remember.
the guy whose board it was, he goes, look, I'll teach you.
Oh
You
no!
know, and then we're like, oh no. And he's holding his hands and he's trying, and he lets him go. And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, wow.
Like, no way.
Yeah.
There's our 2-minute warning, and it wasn't quite as loud. It wasn't loud enough to blast us out of the room
No, it
this
sounds
time.
Yeah. And this time,
Horn.
this time it wasn't a bell.
Yeah, there we go. There's our bell. Oh, did I do the bell last time?
Yeah, you did the bell. It's
Oh.
kind of loud.
Yeah, the bell is very loud. By the way, that's the Queen Mary's
Yeah, it's the
bell.
Queen Mary's bell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are we going to talk about next time, Tommy?
Have you decided which ship you want to jump into next
I
time?
have not decided yet.
I want to go with the Bornquin. We'll start the deep dive into the early days of La Janelle.
Okay.
Definitely get into the events that are coming up in the port, and there are a couple of other things that I really want to get into as well. I think I'm really excited about the direction we're going with all this, and just sharing the interesting aspects of different ships and the importance of keeping our beaches clean and being aware of what's going on in our oceans. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a whole class of ships called the Littoral class. And that's the one that Tom's like, oh man, it was a USS Zumwalt that came to Wainimi, and it's a Littoral class ship, and it's basically a stealth ship. So the way it's put together is unlike what you've ever seen of a ship, and it's extremely maneuverable. And
Huh.
yeah, but there's so much to explore and learn about.
Well,
No. Yeah.
can't wait till we dig in more. So let's plan on talking about Bornquin and what's our ship? What's the anchor we got over here?
The anchor, the North.
USS Norton
Yeah.
Sound.
The
Yeah.
Norton Sound. We'll get in on that. So thank you so much for listening to Port and Stuff everywhere podcasts are found. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, tell all your friends so we can keep this great fun show coming to you. Thank you so much for listening to Port and Stuff.
Late.